Hey y'all, it's Michael, and here are the books that I read in January. It was such a fantastic reading month, and it really is getting the ball rolling for 2019. Majority of these books I already did like a vlog review of them, so I'll link all the videos down below if you want to know more about them. So far, my goal of reading a short story every single day is going really well. Check out my TBR for February. I'll post it up soon and you can see what the plans are. The first book that I finished is Stories of Your Life and Others by Ted Chiang. Loved it. And I think the reason why is not only this exploration about language, which I love, and all the science and physics stuff. I was like, oh, this is up my alley. I really did like it. Without giving too much away, the revelation at the end, I was like, oh, that's what, like what is actual, like, it's like mind-boggling in a way. I really liked it. Oh, there's such fantastic, great short stories in this one. Oh, go check it out. I would recommend it. Oh my god, so good. The next novel that I finished was The Overstory by Richard Powers. I think that's what I really enjoyed about this story is that Richard Powers spends a significant amount of the book, especially the first part, really establishing these characters and giving us like almost these short stories. And in the end, he's able to connect all of these people and their stories surrounding trees really nicely. And I love how trees is essentially like a secret character, kind of. This novel being the first one that I finished, oh my god, 2019 is, I'm excited for 2019. Like, it's setting the bar pretty high. If you want to see a little bit more of my real-time me reading these novels, follow my Instagram and my Goodreads. I post my statuses on both of them actually, and on Instagram I post videos and pictures of when I finish the book immediately after, so it's a little bit more immediate than like my booktube channel, but check them out. The next one is The Black God's Drum by P. Deadly Clark. Overall, I gave this 2 stars on Goodreads. If you heard some slurping noises, that's my dog. It wasn't that great. It is a novella, and within that short amount of time, there is a lot of stuff crammed in there, but it's also, for me anyways, it wasn't fulfilling. It's written in this way that is very like fast-paced, but there were things that I wish it expanded a little bit more. For me, there weren't really like any surprising moments. It just was very too familiar in my opinion. The next book that I read was What Is Not Yours Is Not Yours by Helen Oyeyemi. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, as of right now, I don't see it. Like, I don't understand this praise for Oyeyemi so far. Because one thing that I do love is that there's this sense of imagination to all her stories so far, even within these 3. I really like that. And there's this fairy tale-esque feel to it, and I do like that. And the thing though is, I think that's what's not clicking with me is how she's telling the story and like how she's phrasing some of the sentences. Because for me, it's a bit disjointed. Alright, the next one is Small Country by Gail Fay. Overall, I did enjoy this one. I gave it 3 stars on a Goodreads. This is about Gabriel, and we're following him as he's like a kid, and his country is about to like be in war. It has this blend of just childhood shenanigans, because it reminded me a lot of just me in the Philippines and like what stupid stuff we would get into, like climbing trees, playing pranks on people, like going to the river and just like goofing off. Those were my favorite parts of the novel. It just it has this like summertime feel to it, but then juxtaposed with this really turbulent country that's literally like, well, on the brink of war, but it is about to go to war, and the political faction that's affecting his life. You see this stark contrast when you see the politics just start to blend into his daily life. I really did like that. I did wish the novel was expanded more, because there are moments in here that I felt it could have had like a bigger impact if some of the like characters, some of the other people had a little bit more time to breathe, but overall I really did like it. All right, the next one that I finished was Flights by Olga Tokarczuk, translated by Jennifer Croft. I wanted some gore, that's what I was expecting going into it, because that's what the blurb says, and then a whole bunch of other things. It has that moment because there are three, well, I guess this is so hard to talk about because I don't want to give things away, but then I'm not sure if I'm giving anything away. So the way I'm looking at it is like, this is kind of like a puzzle piece of a book where, imagine if it's a puzzle piece, like a puzzle, but it's one full color. So it's like, let's say it's like a red puzzle. All the pieces are red. And the easiest part obviously is, what I am able to figure out is like the sides. So it's really easy to figure out like the corner pieces of the puzzles. But everything else in the middle is kind of like, I don't really know what's going on. All right, the next one was There Are Little Kingdoms by Kevin Barry. But the actual short stories, There Are Little Kingdoms, I really, really, really like this. I think this is my favorite so far. I think it's the best one, hence that's probably why they chose the name for this short story collection. It is really great. It's weird though, because I don't exactly know what happened. Like, it's one of those stories where it's up to the reader to decide what happens, or like what's going on exactly, because it's kind of trippy, kind of. The next one after that is Convenience Store Women by Sayaka Murata, translated from the Japanese by Ginny Tapley Takemura. Convenience Store Women is a book that I've been seeing around everywhere on BookTube, Bookstagram. I even seen some on Book Twitter talking about it. It's a really interesting novel. It's about Keieko, who is a woman in her 30s who works at a convenience store, and that's all she's been doing all her life. And in Japanese culture, this is frowned upon because, first off, she doesn't have a husband, which in Japanese culture is really looked down upon. And then she's just been at this job all her life, and her friends, her family is worried because that's all she's been doing, and she doesn't have any aspirations beyond just the convenience store at all. What I enjoyed more about this was Keieko. I really did like her as a character, and it's really interesting seeing her mindset, because you really see this person who, there are moments in here where it got a little bit like dark, and in the sense that like it was almost pushing it to that moment, and that's what I was craving a little bit more. And just within these parts, it's like so crazy. I also really did enjoy where you see Keieko, just the way her mind works and how she views the convenience store, and how she, like, her mind is almost thinking of in these layers. And I wish the book did venture off more into a little bit of the darker side, because there are moments in here that I was like, oh, come on, but it just never gets to that point. But it is also such a fun, quick read. Like, it's really short. There's something fun about it because there are really great like comedic moments of this, and there are moments also where it has some really interesting commentary, especially looking at how especially how men view women in Japanese culture. That's always really interesting, because from the anime that I watch, this comment is it is commented on a lot. Especially if you watch a lot of anime, you really can see how the Japanese culture is not the nicest to women, especially Japanese women. Interesting, because it's like this country that's so progressive on technology. I mean, they are coming out with like crazy impressive things, but then it's also like the other half is so traditional and so rigid in the way that they conduct and like practice their traditions. It's such an interesting culture, but I really did enjoy the commentary that it makes on this dynamic. And then the last book that I literally just finished like today is Speak No Evil by Ozudu Ndinma Iweala. I gave this 2.5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. It's about Nifu, who is in high school. He's about to graduate and go to college, and he is gay, and he is hiding that from his parents and whatnot, and he only tells other one person, and that's his best friend, Meredith. And basically the story goes from there with his family. He comes from a traditional Nigerian family. The thing though is, I'm gonna tell you one reason why I really didn't like this book, and would almost say hate. And hate is a very strong word, but follow me here. I really did not like the format of this book, because it's written in a way where there are no quotation marks, and I do not like that. It's like just one long paragraph and there's no quotation marks to break off, or like the sentences aren't even like tick, 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 tick. It's just one long paragraph. And for me as a reader, I really personally don't like that, because it breaks off this rhythm that when I am reading it, a lot of books have like this rhythm to it on how for me anyways, the author is writing. This is really weird, but this is like such a personal thing. How the author is writing, and then with no quotation marks, it really breaks that rhythm. And I just have a hard time as the reader reading it. There are moments where like you kind of have to double back and read it again, because to find out who is actually saying what. And it really, without using quotation marks and like without breaking the sentences, it just felt like one long continuous paragraph. And for me, it just broke me out of the reading experience. I also was not the biggest fan of is there are moments in this book that I thought it should have, as the reader, I didn't feel satisfied and full enough, because I wish it was expanded more. And the novel is only 200 pages, and it does cram a lot of stuff in there, but there are moments in here like the transition to certain chapters, like the way the chapter ends and then the transition to the next chapter is such, it's very jarring and and for me, it didn't make sense. Like it felt so jarring. And there is one part in here when they go to Lagos. I think it might be a spoiler, but it feels, I was just like, why didn't, it felt, for me, I don't know. It didn't feel, I didn't feel satisfied enough. And I was just like, I felt like that would have added more to the story. And then the second half of this, is baffling to me, how it switches perspective, because I was just like, I think my main issue with the thing overall is that it feels very broken. It didn't feel cohesive. And overall, I would say like the overall arcing story, some parts just felt really broken, and overall it just didn't feel cohesive for me. So yeah, those are the books that I read in February. If you read any of them, let me know what you think about them. I would love to hear your thoughts. Until then, I'll see you guys till next time. Bye.